potential once they get into the playoffs. I think this is going to give fans a little bit of a peek into that. Is this Seahawks, Eagles, Seahawks 3-game streak that we have? Starting off with the Seahawks tomorrow on Thanksgiving. Jose, what are some pathways to victory for the 49ers?
I honestly don't think it's going to be that tough of a matchup. They'll probably be a tough stretch because, again, like Seattle, especially in Seattle, that's usually where it's always tough. But look, I think Geno Smith is coming in this game hobbled. I mean, this year, even if he was fully healthy, he's been very average and pretty bad in a lot of stretches. Like, he's going to throw a pick or two. Like, he's been very off this year. What was his best? His best game was against Washington at home like a couple weeks ago. So, I mean, outside of that, he's been very, like, up and down with more downs. So, I'm not – and now you don't have Kenneth Walker, who was last year's Offensive Rookie of the Year. Really, I think that's going to make defense a little easier, the job easier, because it's like, yeah, they have Zach Charbonnet, who's okay, but I don't think their running game is that much of a threat, especially with the way the 49ers look improved in that run defense with Chase Young. So now you can really put that emphasis on focusing on DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. That's the story of the game. What can we do to limit him? And last year when the 49ers went there, Charvarius Ward put the clamps on him. So hopefully he can do somewhat that again. And then you just can worry about Lockett in the slot, who, again, Lockett hasn't had a great year this year. But then again, that's probably partly because of Geno Smith. So I think this is when we're going to have the upper hand because Seattle's defense isn't that good. I think 49ers offense, just do what you do, toy at them, run the ball, do some counters.
Am I dumb? I thought that Ward I thought that DK gave Ward problems. Am I wrong?
In the Niners in the home game, in the divisional game or the wild card game, yeah, he did. But when it was the Thursday night game, like, he pretty much won that night for sure. He won that night. But yeah, that's when I think it's gonna be hard to watch the 49ers lose this game. I think it's gonna be like a 28-31, 17 victory against them. I don't even know if 7. I'll give them 17. It's a short week. The Niners defense is probably going to have this is probably going to be like a stupid drive. Because that's one thing about the Niners defense. They always, it's clear even when they were looking good in that 5-game winning streak, is they always have that 1 to 2 drives in the game where it's like, wow, they're getting pushed like crazy and they fall asleep. Which, if that's going to be them, that's fine, because ultimately they don't really allow too many points like that. So I think they're going to have that maybe 3 drives because, again, it's a short week. So I think pathway to victory is just focus on those two, on that dynamic duo wide receiver, because the running game isn't going to be too much of that this week. And then on offense, I think you're fine, because I don't think Seattle's defense is that good. They have like a few like studs on their defense, right? They acquired. I mean, they got Weatherspoon in the corner, Tariq Woolen, but like collectively, I think they could be had. I think they could be had very easily.
I think so too. And the Rams just beat them, and the Rams aren't very good. I know division games are kind of weird, and in the same way that the 49ers always have the Rams number, I think the Rams have kind of dog walked the Seahawks for multiple years in a row. So that might just be like something about them specifically. Really quick, not to like super go back, but I saw Chris said that Hufanga was on pace to have a better year in coverage this year, which he preferred more, which is kind of interesting because I've seen a lot of people kind of talk about Hufanga having a down year, and maybe like visually eye test, it felt that way. But when it comes to looking at Brown, that might be an area where the 49ers struggle, coverage wise. But maybe he'll be better at tackling and getting the ball. It'll be an interesting adjustment for sure. I was kind of shocked that Kenneth Walker wasn't going to play for the Seahawks because he has a oblique contusion, and isn't that the thing that Christian McCaffrey struggled with, and he didn't miss a game, right?
But
maybe severity is just
short week, and he did leave the game.
Oh yeah, sure.
Right, so McCaffrey left the game. Who knows? It's different. Everyone handles pain differently. Maybe the severity is a little worse, and a short week does matter. So
yeah, and
then Burford's not going to play tomorrow, but Kyle Shanahan said he likely would have played if it was Sunday. So that's why these Thursday games, like, man, they just screw everyone up.
And they could be getting Aaron Banks back, which means John Feliciano could sub in for Burford's position,
on the
right, which I think is something that they were hoping to do. Yeah, I think because Feliciano's done really well, right?
Yeah, he's always been a solid veteran offensive lineman for like the last 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So that'll be interesting. I wonder if it's one of those things, if he performs well, if they end up kind of keeping Burford out for a while, because I know Kyle talked about doing the substitution thing.
Yeah,
But
like
I felt
last
like they
year,
only
Daniel
did that his
Brunskill.
rookie year to try to like get him acclimated to the
So
NFL, and it
weird.
didn't seem to work as well as maybe they were hoping for.
Yeah.
Um, we're gonna put on our because if you're writing a persuasive essay in school, you have to be able to make an argument for the other side in order to make sure that your foundation is solid. So I agree with you. I think the 49ers are going to win. Now, I don't know. I think it's hard to win two division matchups, 2 games against the same team in 3 weeks. So I could see maybe them winning this game, but then something happening. Maybe if they give their all against the Eagles or something, they're burnt out by the 3rd week. I could see it being
Yeah.
hard. When people say that, I'm like, okay, that kind of makes sense. But if you had to make an argument for the Seahawks winning tomorrow, Thursday night on Thanksgiving, eating the turkey in our face again. Ugh, dude, that would suck. Doesn't it seem impossible? I feel like I hate when I think that way as a fan because every time I've thought that way as a fan, when I'm like, no problem, then I'm like sweating. I felt that way about the Bucks. I'm like, they're gonna kill the Bucks, and then like the Bucks like kept almost getting like within 1 touchdown, and I was like, why is this happening? Why is this game oddly close with Baker Mayfield? Why does Baker Mayfield look this good? Why do
Yeah.
the Buccaneers defense look, I thought the Buccaneers defense looked good. I was like, I don't know if I'm not familiar with the Bucks and they've always just secretly like been not terrible, or if the 49ers are doing something to make them look well. But anyways, if you had to give me an argument for the Seahawks pulling out a victory, what would it be?
Purdy's throwing turnovers again, and or Christian McCaffrey or whoever, like, and not just one, but like multiple, like at least two. And then if you're the Seattle, if Geno Smith is actually like finding himself on one like he would be last year, which I find it hard to see. But yeah, if he's on one and he's like connecting with DK, if he's connecting with Tyler Lockett and even Jackson Smith and Jigma to a degree, like just if he's spreading it around, making the defense like really on their heels and putting up points like that and holding possession, then yeah, I think that's what's going to work. It's going to be that, and then also some 49ers turnovers because yeah, the 49ers have to shoot themselves in the foot partially, and then the Seahawks with Geno Smith have to actually like be on one for that game. And both, I can see 49ers turnover for sure. But in terms of Geno, like from start to finish, looking like that, I think he's gonna cough it up. It's gonna happen. He's been doing it all year, and he doesn't look great. And now his elbow is sore. Like he's not 100%. Yeah, I'm selling against him. But that would be the way to do it. He has to be pretty much on one, and then someone on the 49ers offense has to cough up a couple turnovers.
I agree. I think that the Seahawks would have to win the turnover battle, and not even. I think if it's like one turnover and the Seahawks have none, I still think the 49ers would lose. I think it would have to be like the 49ers have like 2 more. And you're right. I think we're gonna play the over and under game after this, but I think Geno will end up throwing more interceptions than Brock Purdy in this game. They just have a different style of play, especially if the 49ers can play their brand, which is kind of getting up. Geno Smith is more prone, I feel like, to kind of take more downfield chances, and that those games or those balls are just like higher stakes plays. But yeah, so I think we both agree. The only way that we think that the Seahawks would win is like if some sort of catastrophic injury happened, if Geno Smith was going off with his tricep contusion arm, which seems unlikely, and if he didn't throw any interceptions and Brock Purdy threw multiple. So doesn't seem like a recipe that will happen, but good to lay out the case because as we saw in the little slump that we had, it is possible. So we're gonna move on, and maybe if DK kind of like if they just target Ward a lot, or maybe if Brown ends up struggling and you see more blown coverages from him, if he's maybe not as comfortable as we expected he would be. I really liked his interviews, his locker room interviews. He talked about like someone asked what the difference in his preparation this week before last week was going to be, and and obviously you kind of have to say this, but he was like, I prepare like I'm going to start every game, and that's why I feel like I was ready for this, and that at least gives Kyle Shanahan and Steve Wilkes confidence. I think when a player, was it Dre Greenlaw that he did that when they first started Dre Greenlaw? It was like he wasn't in the starting lineup and he came in last minute and he performed so well, and that like helps with the coaches so much, knowing, hey, like this guy wasn't guaranteed an opportunity and he still like prepared as if he would. That gives coaches so much confidence in you in the player for the next game.
Mm-hmm.
But